So first things first, Oscar, how are you?
Not too bad. Yeah, I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm not too bad as well. Thanks
Yeah.
for asking. So before we get into the new album, I'd like to go back a little bit to the previous one, Dominion,
Mhm.
because when that whole album was finished, everybody was really pleased about the way it turned out, and it was kind of like a continuation of the music that you've been making for the past years. And so you were on a good you were in a good space as a band, and then the whole world shuts down. You're not able to tour anymore. What goes through your mind when something like that kind of falls onto your path?
Well, yeah, initially, I didn't know how long it's going to be. I don't think anybody realized how long this pandemic was going to be, have us in its grips. I originally thought, without like basing it on anything, but just a couple of months, maybe it's March now, so probably May, we were going back to normal, and June should be fine, right? That's what I thought initially.
Right.
Sorry. And yeah, how wrong was I? Yeah, no, it's weird because the first summer was great. Even though we had to cancel shit, it sucked, of course. No festivals and everything, but it was also the first uninterrupted Swedish summer I had with my family in I don't know when. I can't remember when I had that last. So I tried to enjoy it as much as I could. But then once the autumn, the fall rolled around, you were realizing, okay, this is probably going to go on for a while, because there was like a hope at the end of the
Mm.
summer. People were hoping, and then everything is shut down again. So at that point, like in September or October maybe, it was bleak. The future looked really bleak. It was really hard to because I write songs when I'm in a good mood. That's when I write music.
Okay.
Like when I'm and not necessarily happy, but in a good mood and just energetic and everything. And there was very little to be energetic about in those times, because there was no end in sight. You didn't know when you're going to be on stage next. You didn't know when society is going to be back to normal again. So writing the songs I did back in that period there was a dark period. So it was hard to
Okay.
find the inspiration. I didn't have much to be inspired by like I normally do.
No, I read that some of the songs that ended up on Hammer of Dawn were already written kind of during the Dominion process or
Yes.
even before. This summer that you mentioned, the first uninterrupted summer, what did you do? Were you creative, or was it kind of,
Oh,
okay, I have this time and then, oh,
yes. It was vacation. I was
okay.
happy being home with my family. My son was then 6. He turned 7 that year. No, he turned 6 that year. Sorry. So he was still in kindergarten. We had the whole summer off, just enjoying myself. So I tried to. That's the thing. It like things sucked. We not being able to play sucked, but it didn't. That didn't mean that my life had to suck completely
Mm,
because of it. I mean, parts of it sucked, but you could do those. I got to do something fun instead. That's how I try to look at things. There's always something positive to keep your to focus on. You can always find something in almost any situation. You can find something that you can something good that you can focus on, instead of all the bad that's overwhelming sometimes.
right. When did you start writing or pick up writing again then? Well, did it take a while before? Because you mentioned also a less creative period, a more
Yeah.
darker period for you. So when did everything start up again for you?
The thing was, I had probably around half the album finished when the pandemic hit.
Okay.
Something around those lines, like 40 to 60%. I don't know exactly, but around there.
Mhm.
So I was in pretty good shape. I wasn't worried. I wrote some stuff over the summer, which I was very happy with. And then the time when I was talking about the sort of dark period, but when it was hard to find the inspiration, that was only a couple of songs left. I didn't have much left
Mm.
to finish then. Venerate Me was one of those that I wrote during that period. That was I didn't start that song earlier and finish it then. I wrote everything in those times, and it was like, normally you have a wave you ride on, inspirational wave. You're really,
Mhm.
if things are working, you feel good about it. But for during this period, it was more like spikes, like
Mm.
this. And in between, so just the weeks just flew by sometimes where I didn't do anything. But then I found, okay, I've got inspiration. So I think it was a Friday. I went out in the studio, began working on something, and I realized, okay, I have inspiration now. This is something good. I went out, had lunch, went back into my house, had lunch, out into the studio, and finish the song after a couple of hours, which is quite unusual. That normally doesn't happen for me. It takes longer to finish a song. I started here and finish it here instead of just doing everything in one day. But things just came together. Sometimes you have that. That happens once or twice every album too. You just things just click.
Let's jump into Venerate Me then a little bit, because what is it then? I don't know if this is the process for most of the songs for HammerFall, but when do you present things to the band, and when does it get fleshed out? Because is that always for you an anxious moment where you have to kind of show your ideas to the rest of the guys?
Not really, because I've been doing this for such a long time. I trust my gut feeling, always have, really. And that's, if my gut says it's good, I'm going to be happy with that, and I'm not going to be worried that anybody's going to think it sucks or anything, because I know I worked hard on it, and I know that I am happy with it. When I write the music, I do like a demo with the instrumental demo with the drum machine, and then I send the song to Joacim, and he puts on his vocals, writes the lyrics, or the lyrics usually come after a while, but he sings something anyway, and then. At that point, then I know the full song, because before Joacim has done his stuff, I don't have the whole song because it's not completed yet. But at that point, then I know exactly what we're dealing with. And for this album, it was really cool because he sends sometimes ideas back to me that it's really hard. Sometimes I'm not always ecstatic about everything, but it turns out sometimes I mention maybe you could do this here. Or he says, or actually I don't say anything, and I trust him because I do trust his opinion and the way he does. If he asks, "What do you think of this?" or "I'm not sure," how stuff like that, then I could be have more comments. But sometimes you just know that he's done what he thinks is the best for the song, and he knows that I've done what I think is best for the song. So we sort of come together in that we both know what's best for the song, the music, and the band in the end. And that's how we have worked. So the rest of the band doesn't really hear anything until we are done with the songs, like we're ready with everything. Then we present it to the band.
What was your opinion on the lyrics for Venerate Me when you first heard
it? I love the idea. Yeah, I love that idea that he had. That you died. What is it now? You die twice.
Right.
The first time when you die, when your heart stops beating. The second time when the last person ever says your name for the last time. I get goosebumps from that idea. I love how we can take a song title, "Venerate Me," which I came up with, and this is what he gets out of it. I think that's so fantastic.
And what I find sorry.
That's why it's so great to work with him, even after 26 years this year. Actually, we've been writing songs together for that long, and I still get goosebumps from stuff he sends me, and it's a great feeling.
Very quickly in between, then, what is this chemistry? How would you describe that? Because as you mentioned, you've been making music for a long time together. Yeah. What is this chemistry, and was it immediate? Because the way he kind of joined the band was very interesting as well. So was it kind of an immediate connection with him?
Yeah, it really was. It was instantaneous. Back then, you have to also remember, this is 96, in April, I think, of 96. And back then, this type of melodic heavy metal was very much off the chart. It didn't exist. People wanted to forget about the 80s, and we wanted to embrace the 80s. We loved the stuff. And I didn't have many friends. I had friends who liked parts of it, who enjoyed the melodic stuff as well, but not to the extent in the same way that I did. But at least I knew that they liked the melodic stuff. But there weren't that many. Most people were into the more aggressive stuff, which I was also playing at the same time. I just hadn't my friends usually stopped listening to everything they listened to before. But I kept on listening to all the stuff even when I was playing death metal and stuff. I was listening all the time to the heavy metal stuff as well. I just added the death metal and all the harder stuff as well to it. So it was really difficult to find people who shared this passion. And when Joacim came into the room, in the rehearsal room, the thing was, I was fiddling around my guitar, waiting for him to come in. It was because I'd never met him before. I'd seen him play live with his previous bands, but I never met him. I was playing a Stormwitch part, which is a fairly unknown German band called Stormwitch. And I was playing a song called Dorian Gray on my guitar, just fiddling around because I was waiting for things to happen, basically. He comes into the door, introduces himself, and he says, and no, even before he introduced himself, he says, "That's Stormwitch, Dorian Gray," and my jaw was on the floor because I couldn't believe anybody knew about Stormwitch, let alone recognize the song I was playing, and we just clicked since then. That's just how it happened. It sounds like a made up story, but it's actually the 100% exactly like this. It happened like this. And then once we started working together and writing songs, we realized, and talking about music, we realized that we have a lot of the same influences and a lot of the same visions or the same vision for how a heavy metal band should be, even back in '96. So we were just like this right away. I found, I wouldn't say soulmate because we're not engaged in partners in any other way than HammerFall, but it found a musical soulmate, if you can say that, you know.
Sure. And what I find maybe more impressive than even is the longevity of it, because we all know within music and especially within rock bands, there's a lot of revolving doors, that there can be lineup changes, but there's this has been, like you said, 25 years. So, and that the fact that he still can surprise you is very, very good, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's wonderful in a way, because the way that, I feel like everything I write, when I present it to him, as this is done, do what you do your thing with it, then I have a very good feeling about the material. I love it. You know, I think it's I have my vision maybe about what I think it's going to end up being, but I still don't know, because I haven't heard his vocals. And once he gets into it, and he was very creative during a period for this album, he just sent the stuff he sent back was just immediate goosebumps. Yes, exactly what the song needed. And he took what I thought already was a really good song a couple of steps up, because it's so important what happens between the choruses. So some music styles don't care, you know, they just blah 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 chorus. That's just how it is. But for heavy metal and for HammerFall, we never wasted any moment of the song. Like the verse are equally important as the pre-chorus and the chorus, but it should also build up to the chorus, and that chorus should be the big thing, but the rest is not inconsequential. And we've done things like this since day one. We always put a lot of effort into every part of the song, and so the verses that he's done this time is, for me, like they took what I thought was an okay verse or a good verse and made it just that much better. And they just the perfect parts for it. So, and like you said, he surprised me. Not that I thought he would send bad stuff back, but it's also, I want everything to be great. You know, I want the songs to be fantastic. And when he sends his stuff back and it actually is fantastic already, then, you know, that's what I wanted. That's what I really, really hoped for.
Right. Can you share one, we talked about Venerate Me a little bit, but can you share one verse or one bit of lyric that you really liked by him? Was it Venerate Me, or do you have something else on the top of your mind?
From this album, you mean?
Yes.
I love the ending of or the last, like the melodic verse parts of at the end on Hammer of Dawn. Okay. Hammer of Dawn will lead the way. You live to fight another day. For every battle, there's a scar telling a story who you are. I just, you know, that's Joacim in a nutshell, and that's it fits so well to the song, and it fits so well to the theme that HammerFall is all about.
Well, that's interesting. That's actually the line I wrote down as well. For every battle, there's a scar telling the story of who you are. But this goes back to what you were mentioning earlier on, when the whole pandemic hit. Then there's always some positive things to do. So are you, as a group, are you very positive people, very optimistic, and kind of take the good with the bad, and then just continue going?
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, I would say so. I mean, of course, you have ups and downs, right? Mm-hmm. Like normal people, but I think generally the mood in the band is generally very positive. You know, we're looking forward to things. Like on tour, of course, there's going to be shit happening on tour that you can't help, and that brings you down a little bit. But at the end of the day, we're on tour to play live and you know, present our stuff to the fans. And everybody in the band absolutely loves that. That's like the best part of the whole day. So when it comes down to the evening, happy again, even if there was a downtime during the day. But we also took something, because when you're on tour for a long time, like 4, 5, 6 weeks in a row, after 2 weeks or thereabouts, it for me it just becomes a blur. Everything else, like the first couple of days, you're happy, you can, things are happening every day, you can distinguish between the days. But after a couple of weeks, you just it's another day, the same shit, different day, basically, kind of feeling. And we have talked about this in the band, and we try to do things, not every day, but at least, I mean, Joacim, for example, Freddie takes walks or runs. They do run together sometimes as well. Okay. David is out every day, regardless of what he feels, the weather, however, he goes out for a while, does stuff in every city. He finds stuff online and visits museums, or just takes a walk through a park or whatever. So just to break the monotony, basically. I have my way of dealing with that as well. It doesn't usually it's video games and stuff, but I have other, just to take my mind off of it. But sometimes the video games doesn't help either, because you can do them anywhere. But it's always great to come out and get out and do things and look at stuff, just for a few hours anyway. And that has helped a lot to bring up the mood as well, I think.
Sure. Very, very quickly, what is your favorite game, or what are you into at the moment?
My favorite game of all time probably is a Zelda game. I'm I don't know if you can see that. There's Zelda.
Oh yeah, I do see it. Yeah.
Yeah, those things over there, the glass things. I collect Zelda stuff, so I have a bunch of things. All the games and various releases and shit like that. So I guess it would have to be a Zelda game.
Maybe this is a dumb question, I don't know, but I've been on the YouTube, I've been listening to a lot of not only Zelda, but a lot of those kind of video game soundtracks played by metal guitarists and stuff. Is that something that you like, or something that you're interested in?
Not really. I don't really spend much time hanging on YouTube and looking for stuff, like that, like you said. And I think there's some cool stuff. When I come across something, I watch it, and sometimes I really like it. We had a band called Power Glove as a support for us. This is 12 years ago in the US, in a North American tour we did. They were opening up for the most part, and this was a band that did actually play video game related stuff. Like they took theme songs and they probably put them into their own music or something. I don't know exactly how they did it, but they had a bunch of things going for it. And it was really fun to watch. Really, really interesting stuff. But I don't really sit down and watch stuff like that on YouTube. What I think is cool is when I saw, for example, I saw a violin player that played along with the Super Mario Bros. Theme. He was playing that thing, and then ding, whatever. He had something shit, stuff like that. But I don't spend much time on YouTube looking for stuff like that, unfortunately.
Fair enough. One other thing that I read about the way you spoke about Dominion was that it captured kind of the live element, or that was one of the things that points of emphasis. So with this album not being able to tour to any normal degree, did that affect kind of the sound of the album? Was it more a studio album, or do you think you still kind of honed into what you want to do live as well?
I think this, in a weird way, not being able to play live made the energy level go up on the album, I think. For myself, like my own point of view, at least, I know that when we recorded the guitars and the bass, which we did here in Castle Black Studios, where I'm right now, we started the drums in March and the bass and guitars in April and May, and then we didn't finish the actual album until the end of September. So we had so much time. There was absolutely no stress anywhere, and that gave us a lot of freedom to, like, Pontus is our second guitar player. He's from Stockholm. This is where right now outside of Gothenburg. So he flew down here. We recorded, and then he said, "I think I have to go back for the weekend. I have to go back home and deal with some shit." And so on Friday, he went home and came back on Monday morning. And we didn't have to do anything music-wise on Saturday and Sunday. You could just be home, relaxing, taking it easy with your family, do whatever the hell you wanted to do. Just unplugged from the recording, and then went back in with fresh eyes, fresh ears, and fresh fingers on Monday morning, and that helped me to be focused. Because I can't focus for 10 or 12 hours a day. It doesn't work. My mind doesn't work that way. At least not any good focus. It's just weird. So when we record now, we record for maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, maybe however long it takes to record that song. And then I don't record anymore. Then Fredrik comes in and plays his bass, and then Pontus comes in and does his guitars on the same song. Meaning that I have to sort of peak. I can peak when I have to play, and then take a step back and relax a little bit, just sit in the background and being part of it in that way. And that helps a lot to be able to bring out, it sounds weird, but the more relaxed we were, the more energy we could actually put into the actual recording. Right.
And that's a very interesting thought, I think, because at times in our society, it's always like you need to work harder, especially, I suppose, early on in your career. It doesn't matter what you do, but in music especially, I suppose, it's always kind of that grind that you have to go on tour every time, and you have to do all these things. So for you as well, did you experience kind of earlier in your career perhaps that sometimes you did too much, or you as a group you wanted too much?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess I think in all honesty, what happened in 2012, that we did take a break back then. We said we've been doing this on and nonstop for 15 years now. We can't go on. If we record another album, like if we jump back into the hamster wheel again, the band probably won't exist after this album, because everybody was just not fed up, but it was just the same old,
exhausted, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we decided after this tour, we're going to take a break, 18 months, then we get back and start working on another album. That was the plan. And it was also great because everybody could do whatever they wanted. Like you could plan your year and you could say yes to everything if you wanted to, because you didn't have HammerFall to think about, right? So you didn't have to worry that whatever you had planned was going to collide with the HammerFall interests, because there were none at that moment. And I think it was Joacim's idea to do this. I was skeptical at first, but I realized this is what everybody wanted. We had a band meeting and discussed, yes, that we do this. And once we had decided, it was all the stress was just, that's what's going to happen. There was no worries anymore. And you could just leave HammerFall out of it if you wanted to for a while. And that made the same thing with what I said about going home for the weekend, although this was a lot longer than a weekend. But you didn't have to think about it anymore. So when you actually had to think about it, it was fun again. And we started, and then it actually was fun again. We rode that wave until the pandemic hit, I guess.
Well, you can start a new wave now with the new album then, right?
That's the plan. That's the plan.
Well, one last thing about Venerate Me, because what I find interesting about that whole theme or topic is kind of the notion of legacy and how things are remembered, and especially with music, I suppose there is a sense of immortality when you create an album and you put it out, because it's there forever practically. So do you as a group think about those kind of things and think about what you put out there because it's part of kind of the legacy of HammerFall?
I always do. I have done that since day one. It's really important to me. I said this many times over the years, exactly what you just said. Like when everything is said and done, when HammerFall is no longer around, I'm no longer around, the albums, the music that we have done, that's going to be our legacy. That's what people are going to remember. So that's why I've always took the greatest care to make sure that all the songs on all the albums are as good as they can be at that point in time. And so that's really important to me. Absolutely.
Okay. Final question then. What are you carefully optimistic about the future? because I saw the tour plan for a couple of dates in March, then April, and a couple of dates in May. Are you hopeful are you carefully hopeful that the future is bright now?
Yes. What I really hope or think there's a chance that might happen is that the Omicron wave was the last big wave of the pandemic, that now things are starting to slow down. Like, for example, today, I believe Denmark is opening up and they declassified COVID before it was like a socially disruptive disease or whatever. There's some sort of terminology for it, and now they downgraded it to sort of more like a flu. So it doesn't cripple the society anymore. And I think that's the way a lot of countries are going to go sooner or later. You know, that's what's going to happen. I'm hoping that we're on that track now, because it's been 2 years now without any chance of doing what we have done for 25 years. It's frustrating as hell. And I mean, people are still dying, so it's not over yet, and it probably will never be gone. You know, it's probably going to be there for a while, but at least hopefully it could be manageable, and that's what I'm hoping for. That we're at least on the down slope now.
One last thought then. Going back on tour and being on stage again, and is it difficult after a 2-year period of relatively playing very little to kind of get into that mindset or zone again for playing live?
I guess we'll find out.
Fair enough.
No, I think I know what you mean, but it's so ingrained in what we've done so many shows over the years. Even when we had a break for a while, I mean, 2 years is a long time. But even if we had a break for 6 or 8 months, it's always going to be. It has always been the same. You just get out there, and I can't imagine the energy level on that first show when we finally get back on stage again and being in front of the audience and you know, interaction and everything. I think it's going to be an amazing night. I know it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be weird. Maybe hard to physically, maybe, yeah, but you have to, you know, be prepared for that as well. You have to work your, you know, practice your music, but also practice your body, because I run around a lot on stage and it's very physically exhausting. But I think it's going to be so much fun. I can't stop smiling thinking about it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the fans are going to be absolutely crazy, right? Because everybody's been starved for live music. I mean, only last week I saw just a guy playing guitar. We were filming something, and that was the first time I saw somebody playing live music in a year or something. It was, everybody's really ready for it. So.
Yeah, I think so. Everybody's ready for it. And I mean, it's going to be an explosion, exactly like you said, in the audience as well. People are going to go fucking crazy when they get to see their favorite bands again, which is great, because that creates the whole bubble of that night is going to be tremendous.
Well, I wish you all the best with the album. I hope those nights are far and are coming soon and often. And all the best. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me, Oscar.
It was a real pleasure. I had a lot of fun. All right, take care, man.